Thanks. Hi, Joe Cerrone, CAD-230, video lecture for Monday the 27th. Next week, I will offer the CSWA exam. And so what I did today was to generate exam vouchers for the students that are currently in the video lecture meeting. The exam vouchers are good until the end of July, and they allow you to take the Certified Solidworks Associate exam. To practice for the Certified Solidworks Associate exam, go here to the 3D Experience Virtual Tester and download the virtual tester. So if you hit this link, I already have an account, and so I'm logged in. But if I go to the home screen, there will be a spot in here to create a login. And what you want to do is to create a login. And then for this, how to take a certification exam, what we need to do is we need to download this Test Pro client, install it, launch it, and then you have to log in. So it'll take you a little while, 10 minutes to get it set up. And then once you have it launched, and I'll show you how this looks, you want to make sure that you take the practice test. I had a student who was going through exam vouchers, and you know they do cost money, and so you don't want to burn through those. But the other exams are free, and so what you do is you come over here, download Test Pro Client. I'm going to open it, agree to it, install it. Finish it. And then here's the installation utility. Let me know if you guys can't see it. I'll figure everybody's okay. We'll use English. And then I already have a virtual ID, and so you would fill this out. And I recommend you use your school email. I don't know if you'll get any luck being able to take these exams with a regular email. You could probably ask Alejandro, who teaches the advanced course. He works for one of the companies that does this quite a bit. So I'm going to see if I can get this to run. So once it's installed, or I have a login, it accepted it, I'm going to go with Solidworks. And so these are the exams that I can take. I can take the associate. And if you start the exam, this is where you'll need to put in the voucher that I gave you. Don't do it until you take the practice. And so there's a practice exam in here, sample exam, and they're free. So you can take the Certified SolidWorks Associate exam. I can take the professional exam. Additive manufacturing, if anybody wants a voucher for this, I'd be happy to give that to you. And then in the fall, if you are interested in continuing to get into SolidWorks, I am going to be doing the SolidWorks CAM course, and I am going to offer an online section for it. And so my plan is to offer that on Saturdays from 1 o'clock until 5, the in-class, and then the online, well, that's going to be kind of like this. But I think the SolidWorks CAM is going to give MasterCam a run for their money. So if you're interested in those exams, let me know, and I'll be happy to give you a voucher. So what you want to do is you want to look at the free exam right here. And then all you have to do is tell it which language you want to take it in. Tell my wife I'm Italian, but she says, no, you're from Mount Prospect. She's right. And then what it'll do is it'll go into, you know, this practice exam. And since I'm unlimited, I'll show you what it looks like. You know, welcome, you can start the exam. When you do these tests, what I recommend you do is you have a dual screen monitor set up. So I've got a dual monitor at my house. You can put the questions on the monitor, and then you can have the CAD system on the other one. But this is very typical, you know, where it asks to create a drawing, view B, it's necessary to sketch a spline on drawing A and insert it into which type. I believe it's a crop. And then, you know, I can go through and answer some of these other questions. And then they'll have you model these parts. And what they'll do is they'll give you these A, B, and C values, which you then have to keep on your screen as you go through and draw it. So that's why I recommend you have two screens, you know, so you don't have to keep going back or split the screen for that. And so it looks like I have 90 minutes to take the practice exam. It's probably the same for the full-blown exam. I'm just going to leave it run in the background while we do the class. Okay, any questions on that? I'm still recording, so I'll continue with the recording. But if you do have a question, you can do it in the group chat, and I'll see that, and I can pause the recording. So step number one. In Oakton D2L, you can go through and you can set yourself up to take the exam. And getting back in the D2L. So that's the first thing I want people to do as they dial into this meeting, is to be prepared if you want to take the CSWA exam by setting up the virtual tester and practicing for that. As far as to, you know, taking the exam, there's information there, and there's also information we will cover today. And if we look at last week, we covered chapter 11 and chapter 12, CSWA practice exam. And so the plan is to kind of tie everything up. And if we look at the content, I have lab 12 practice exam, and I'll go through this after I stop recording, but it's straight from the textbook. And you can kind of see, you know, based on this virtual tester here, you know, this is one of the parts here. And then I'm sure I can just go and skip through, have the modifications to it. This is an old one, but they keep putting it on there as far as to do the assemblies. And then it looks like that's it. I'm not going to end it. I'm going to go back to my questions. But from a standpoint of testing, I found that the assemblies were very similar to these two that are in the textbook. So you do want to go through and practice. If you don't want to turn in the assignments, that's fine. This is just practice. This will give you some time to get ready for the game next week. And the game is going to be to take the CSWA or to take Joe's practice exam. And if you take Joe's practice exam, you know, here's a version that I did last year, or maybe 2016. You can practice on that. But for the most part, with the social distancing and everything like that, I just want people to be able to finish the course and to have some sense of getting their money's worth out of it. And so this is a practice exam for the regular one, for Joe's exam, if you're not ready to take the Solidworks Associate. And not everybody is, you know, it's not fun to take the exam and not pass it. Typically I get about a 50 to 60% pass rate. I've had higher rates than that where everybody's doing really well with it. But if you don't study for it, it's going to be a challenge. You know, you'll need to get lucky with that. So that's what the agenda is. Today we'll cover the practice exam, and then next week I will give the exam. Okay, and so the exam will be given with the voucher numbers, and then as far as proctoring the exam, it's pretty much the way it's been right now as far as to be able to proctor it. Since the testing center is closed, I'm not too worried about it at this point. All right, so other than that, after the 4th, that's where the class kind of wraps up. I'll go through, I'll grade everything that we have, and all work is due on the 11th. If you don't take the exam on the 4th, you can take it on the 11th. If you take the CSWA exam and you don't pass it, you have to wait 30 days before you take it again. And so they don't want people taking it over and over again until they pass it. With that, I'm going to stop this recording, and then I'll post that. I thought I knew how to stop it. Let's see here.